Darius, I think you're invading Tristana's personal space, so step back. No, don't. Step back. Yes, that better. Step back. No, you're just going to get pushed away again. Welcome back, my friends, to a crazy episode of TFT Hyperroll from Mission for Tuition. Why is it called Mission for Tuition? I'm surprised you ask. I would think everyone knew this already. But it's called Mission for Tuition because we are trying to pay for our son's middle and high school tuition since he has to go to a ridiculously expensive special school. We're not asking for donations. It's just about views. More views, more revenue, more money for tuition. So like, comment, share, do all of that good stuff. Watch the video until the end. It really helps. And then we can help pay for tuition. And with that said, let's get started. Now, I have been looking for a comp this season to take the place of my undying comp from last season. For those who don't remember, this was combining brawlers and knights, and only then as many defensive items as we could use. And it wound up leading to the one and only absolutely perfect game I was able to post last season, and it was using nothing but tanks. So when I saw Bodyguard heart, and I already had 2 bodyguards out there, and another one on the bench, I thought to myself, maybe this is the one. I already had some potentially friendly items that were tank worthy, and these guys are just excellent tanks, and I know Darius can put out a ton of damage, as I showed in my unkillable video, when you get the right items on him, but that would be building him a little bit more offensively. My first goal was to try to do this completely defensively. So at this point, I'm still trying to stick to the theme. Let me grab a tank item and grab another bodyguard, and then let's make Darius even tankier by putting the Dragon's Claw on him, which will allow him magic resist and to do a little bit of offense because it will hit back anytime he's hit. In early game, I have to say, this is feeling pretty good. It has all the high octane excitement of running tanks, where you just get to watch them slowly beat on each other until somebody falls over and collapses, but it just is something satisfying about seeing your entire team manage to stay up. For stage 4, I decided to add Garen for the protector buff for Blitz. I had a 2-star Singed on the side, but I just wasn't convinced it was the best move at the time, as protector felt like it would work really well, and I was afraid this Twitch was going to be super annoying until Blitz turns around and says, "Come here, you little rat," and takes care of that problem. But overall, yeah, it's looking pretty good. But one thing this season has that a lot of other seasons didn't have are characters like Talon that can do a lot of damage over time. Notice how it continues to bleed Darius out until he ultimately goes down and ends up pretty much being the end of my perfect run. Now, Prismatic Augment is a special thing, and since I'm headed in the tank direction, Woodland Charm was the absolute no-brainer for me. But I felt that even with that, this wasn't necessarily the right time to try to go directly into absolutely all tanks. I think there might be a better build for that somewhere down the line. So at least for this next fight, it's time to bring in a little bit of damage. Now, I'm not sure if this is a bug or it was working as intended, but when I got the Prismatic Woodland Charm and got 2 blitzes, I was hoping to pull 2 independent champions. But at the beginning of the match, they both pulled the same champion, and while they eliminated them, it would have been nice to see a double pull. And at this point, with some of the items the game gave me through the NPC round and some of the choices below, I think it's also trying to tell me, look, buddy, we appreciate the attempt at doing a big tank build. This is just not the right game for it. So that time will come, but it's time to really commit to some damage in your backline. And let's be real about this. While I would love to put together that insanely just tanky, ridiculous comp early that wins sort of in spite of itself, this is not the right time in the season to be experimenting with that. We're all still trying to climb and find the best ways to do it, and this is far more effective for that purpose. And here's somewhere where my double blitzes kind of worked out cool. I pulled them, but they only got to pull my blitz. So yes, I only got one pull off, but my blitz became a decoy that allowed their blitz to pull it in, which allowed the rest of my team to just close around them and Ezreal to lead the damage charts. The final augment was such an easy choice. I had been heading this way and had already put the little Mr. Roboto Scarab out there, but now it's going to self-repair, so it's time to head even more into that direction, assuming I can find all the right champs. I still like Bodyguards as my main front line, but it's going to be a lot of fun with Mr. Roboto. With self-repair in place and now our Leona being the champion that is duplicating, our front line has gotten just inordinately tanky, allowing Ezreal to just essentially stand behind them and beat on them over and over while the front line just absorbs all the damage. This is sort of the TFT dream, if you will, of that tanky front line and strong back line. Now this fight is a perfect example of when a rock meets a hard place, and I'm going to speed it way up for you just so you can not have to sit through the entire thing. But first, Tristana just keeps knocking Darius away over and over and over until it's just too much for Darius. But ultimately, their team of Yordles cannot get through my front line. But similarly, my back line is not strong enough to get through their tanks, and we ultimately end up, after all of that, in a tie. And for the last item, my friend at Riot nudges me and goes, no, more tanky, and throws me a Bodyguard emblem, which I ultimately cannot resist. And right now you are seeing the result of a mistake that I make all too often. 5 Bodyguards, 4 Innovators. I'm not ticking the additional Bodyguard, and I'm not ticking the additional Innovator. I could have pulled one of my Bodyguards, placed Seraphine in, and had a much more powerful Mr. Roboto, but I didn't. I kind of went half and half and got this result. And these are the type of mistakes that can ultimately cost you a game, and we all make them. I have a Garen still on the board. Well, he's dead now, but he was out there, and he was not adding enough to the team to justify him. I could have pulled him, put in an Innovator, and had the 5th Innovator and a much stronger Roboto for a win. And yes, I still did manage to get into the top 4, but I'm coming in a much weaker position than I otherwise would have if I had moved up to the 5 Innovators earlier. Now, luckily, just before the NPC round, I happened to find a Syndicate Bodyguard in Braum and replace Garen. Now it's a matter of what item I want. I decide it's time to bring in Jayce, turn him into a Bodyguard, and try to make him the carry. I'm looking for one more Jayce to fill out this team so that I can Nikos help him up. Thank you, Gary. And then put him into the Socialite Square and use him as my carry, because he's going to double with the Woodlands Charm. And with 2 Jayces on this front line, this team just became a heck of a lot stronger. And I can't help but notice that a lot of people went very heavily into tank this game, and it's causing these individual fights to last a lot longer. They had an incredibly strong Zac with a Dragon's Claw and a Stone Plate and a Redemption just holding them up, along with a Mundo with a Brambles Vest and a Sunfire Cape. But luckily, my team is able to prevail against them. But there's still a long way to go. That person's not out, and this person has an incredibly strong team with Kaisa and a Samira with Infinity Edge and Bloodthirster and Last Whisperer, so they can easily tear through my armor. But luckily, double ults from Jayce all around the board are helping out a ton, and that Spear of Sojin is allowing him to cast more often till it's ultimately just my Ezreal Roboto versus one little kitty. And yeah, ultimately I wanted to do the all-tank build with no damage items, but that was not to be this game, and I don't even think it would have worked, because this team I'm against right now had a really, really good mix of tank and damage. Luckily, so did I, and Jayce at 2 stars with the Bodyguard emblem and all the right items is just able to carry the win all the way home, leading the damage charts to the ultimate victory. It's a GG for everyone, and I hope you enjoyed watching this build and me attempt to do the tank thing. I will get it someday. Hope you have an absolutely awesome day.